GoMo is a multi-device authoring tool, and the GoMo Learning Suite is a combination of the authoring tool, our award-winning multi-device authoring tool, and a brand new product, GoMo Hosting and Analytics. And it's built on the 5 key pillars that you see on the screen now. I'll talk about all of those in a little bit more detail in a moment. Who's using GoMo? Well, on the screen now are just some of the organizations that have invested in GoMo recently. You don't have to be a global corporation like these guys to be using GoMo. We have plenty of one-person e-learning companies, smaller organizations with a few licenses, up to some of the biggest brands in the world. What does GoMo do that makes it different from traditional authoring tools? Well, GoMo creates responsive and adaptive HTML5 content completely automatically. What we mean by this is content that responds and adapts to the browser and the device that you're working on. This allows you to build a course once in GoMo, and it will work on any device, desktop, laptop, tablet and smartphone, and you don't have to do any additional work when you're authoring to get that multi-device behavior. It's inherent within GoMo. So just to illustrate that, if I just disconnect this browser session here, we're actually looking at a piece of GoMo content on the screen now. I'll just stretch it out a little bit like so. So this is a GoMo course. As I shrink the browser down, the content responds to the changing browser conditions. You can see the images hopefully shrinking down. At the point at which GoMo realizes that the images are too small to view next to each other, it will stack them vertically. And as we shrink the browser down further and further, we're now looking at something that looks a little bit like a smartphone, and our content is still completely usable. If you look at the icons along the bottom for the nav bar there, they're currently in icon form. As soon as there's enough space for them to be pure text, GoMo switches them back to be pure text. So that's what we mean by responsive and adaptive HTML5 content. If I minimize my screen now, just to try and show you that on a different device. Hopefully you can now see my iPad. This is the same presentation. I'm using, you can't see this obviously because you're not in the same room as me, but I'm using swipe gestures here just to navigate through the logos and also to navigate through the content. So it's exactly the same course on my iPad. Really important thing here though is if I turn the device round in my hand, the content adapts and responds completely automatically to the changing browser conditions. It's not that important perhaps on a tablet, but it can be really important on a smartphone. There's a lot of e-learning software out there that will take the rectangle that we see now and shrink it down into the top third of a smartphone screen, and that really is unusable. The text is too small to read, the buttons are too small to hit. You are basically forced to turn the device around into landscape mode to interact with it correctly on a smartphone. With GoMo, we respond and adapt automatically, and GoMo fills the screen. It also does that no matter what the device type is. You don't have to tell GoMo how big the screen is. You don't have to tell GoMo that you're designing for an iPhone or an iPad. If I can get my iPad off the screen, that would be a big help. Come on, you awkward thing. Here we go. You just literally build your courses, and the GoMo player figures everything out for you. So that's responsive and adaptive HTML5 content. Now GoMo is in the cloud. It's a software as a service application. What this means is there's nothing to download and there's nothing to install. You don't have to involve your IT department to get going with GoMo. You open up your browser, you navigate to the GoMo login page, you log in and you start working. So you can start working straight away, literally within 5 minutes of signing up for GoMo you can be working. And because GoMo is in the cloud, it's collaborative. So you can author collaboratively. I'll show you some of the new collaborative review features later on during this presentation. So Looking at this diagram now, to the existing GoMo customers, the dotted line and the area on the right will be new because now on the right-hand side we have the hosting and analytics. So the traditional GoMo was the left-hand side of the diagram where you would work together to build a course, hit the publish button, and out would come a SCORM 1.2 object to go into your LMS. We can now publish into GoMo hosting and analytics, and we've got lots of interesting ways to distribute GoMo content from the analytics platform, and I'll talk about some of those in a moment. Okay, so how do we create content in GoMo? Well, it's incredibly simple. It's a drag and drop interface, very intuitive, all through a web browser, no programming language whatsoever. We just drag and drop, and we can now create both SCORM and tin can conformant courses with GoMo. Customizations are really a powerful feature in GoMo. You can make your courses look however you want them to look. You've got loads of customization options to change the look and feel of your courses. Really important thing to note with customization in GoMo is that GoMo uses something called themes. Themes control the look and feel of your courses, and themes are separate from content. This is really important. What it means is if you've built 100 courses using a particular theme and then your customer decides to rebrand, change their logo, change their color scheme, change their fonts, change their screen background, for example, you don't have to open 100 courses in GoMo and then maybe 100 screens inside the courses to open those up and replace the graphics on every page. You go to the theme, you edit the theme, you save the changes, and all of your courses will see the new look and feel. So really powerful feature and something really important to consider if you're developing hundreds of courses with an authoring tool. GoMo's collaborative, so you can work together wherever you are in the world. We often help our customers out, working with them on projects from all over the world. We've got content locking so that two people don't end up updating the same bit of content at the same time. And now we have some brand new review and workflow capabilities to streamline the production process. I'll show you those in a moment. When you've built your course, you can go down the traditional route of publishing out a SCORM LMS file to go into your learning management system, but we now have 4 new methods of distribution. GoMo Central is our hosting platform. You can give your students instant access to GoMo content. It's got a login page. Students can log in and run GoMo courses. If you have an existing LMS, then you can publish content to your LMS with an LMS wrapper from GoMo. The beauty of this is the LMS gets the wrapper. It doesn't get the whole GoMo content. The GoMo content sits in the GoMo servers. This allows you to update your courses in GoMo and your LMS users to see them instantly. And it gets rid of all the grief of publishing zip files, downloading and uploading courses. You can instantly update courses that are sat in your SCORM LMS. We can provide you with a direct link, so you can send students a direct link to a course, even a QR code. I'll show you that in a moment. Or we've got an HTML wrapper which will allow you to embed your courses directly into a website. So there are 4 distribution methods in the new hosting and analytics part of GoMo. And sat behind all of that is our built-in tin can reporting, which will give you a visual way to analyze learner data. Now there'll be a limited set of tin can statements that we'll work with to start with, but this will extend and expand in the future, and you'll be able to write your own tin can statements in the GoMo authoring page. You've then got a full analytics engine sat behind this, so you can analyze who's been in your projects and do far more than you might ever do with SCORM, which has got a limited set of interactions that it can report on. You'll be able to do things like device type, launches, question pass and fail, and a whole range of things that are opened up by the Tin Can API.